Wakanda forever. I haven't said that in a while, huh? Good morning, everybody. It's the pollinator. And I am all dressed down this morning. I did not feel like... I came home, took my clothes off, or, took off my street clothes and put this t-shirt on. And then I thought, I have to make this video while this is fresh. But before I get into this topic of transphobia and bigotry, there's a subscribe button, little white letters down over here. Sorry about my finger. I cut it really bad. And from time to time, I drop videos up over here, which I may or may not during this video. But if you would like it and share if you're so inclined. So, I just had the hugest argument with a relative of mine, and I won't, just for the sake of anonymity, I won't reveal who she is, just that it's a she. And we argued about a lot of things tonight. And it first started out, somehow we got on the topic of black men and women. I don't remember what started that. But I told her that black men are starting to push back against the disrespect. Oh, I know how it started. The disrespect of black women. And it started because she said that black men are talking shit about black women. And I said, do you realize how long that black women have been talking shit about black men? Since the 1970s. Is when that crap started, when feminism started. Well, when black women thought that feminism was something that they should partake in. And, well, the welfare system that put black men out of the home, because the government was willing to pay black women more to put him out of the home and take care of her and her children. So anyway, we started talking about that. And I said, a bunch of black men have an answer for that. And they are encouraging thousands, if not millions, of black men to get their passports and to travel overseas. And she has no idea how much she sounded like the typical black woman saying that it ain't gonna work and mad that black women are chasing off black men by their disrespectful treatment of them. And that in other countries where women are groomed from childhood to know how to treat a man. Her argument was, well, no, if you're from the South. I disagree, because if you're from the South, you were taught that. And I said, no, it doesn't matter where you're from. Black women have an attitude that is not, they have attitude that is delusional. But anyway, so we went from that to transgender women. Now everybody knows, that I, from time to time, I like to use the dictionary. I was a very strange child in that I used to read the dictionary like it was some kind of a fiction book when I was a child, when I was, I think when I was a teenager, I started that. Anyway, so I appreciate, I used to be a real wordsy guy, but now I just talk everyday language. I don't try to talk over people's heads. I don't try to sound more intelligent. I don't try to sound as intelligent as I am. Yeah. So I can talk to anybody at any level. So anyway, I wrote down some words that I am going to... The heck? I don't know what that was. I think it was my refrigerator. Some words, because of the mess that Florida is creating right now. They have gone back to talking about transgender people in the bathroom all over again. We went through this in 2016, and now because of what's going on in Florida, it done woke up all the fucking bigots and transphobic idiots in the nation who think they can run their mouths about this subject and not know what they're talking about. So let me read the definitions of this, and then I'll tell you what happened with that conversation, where it started, where it ended. So the definition of transphobia is an aversion or hostility to, disdain for, or fear of transgender people. Aversion means a strong feeling of dislike, opposition, repugnance, or antipathy, usually followed by to. An aversion to, I guess that's what it means. Disdain means a feeling of contempt for anything regarded as unworthy, haughty contempt or scorn. So those all, those words comprise the meaning of transphobia. And I just wanted to break down what the words were inside of that definition. Bigotry is a person who is intolerant or hateful toward people whose race, ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual orientation, etc. is different from the person's own. So keep that in mind. Transphobia and bigotry, they go hand in hand. So this conversation first started off her talking about her and her girlfriends, her straight, heterosexual, black girlfriends, going to a drag show somewhere in California, probably San Diego, and going to a drag show and getting highly upset and insulting because they were hit on by some guy who didn't know what they were. She thinks if you look at somebody, you know whether they're straight, gay, blah, blah, blah. No, you don't know, they don't. If a whole bunch of women show up in that environment, which is their environment, people don't know where they're coming from. And typically, in my observation, a lot of men can become aggressive, especially in an environment where they don't know where you're coming from, and you're on their turf. So if you don't like being hit on by people in the LGBT environment, don't go to their environment. I say that once. No, I'm going to say that twice. If you don't like the idea of being hit on by men, by women, or whatever, and you're in their environment, which they don't have very many environments that they can go where they're safe from heterosexual bigots, homophobics, transphobics, or whatever, don't go in that environment. You make it unsafe for them, not the other way around. So keep your butt out of their establishments. Because this lady went so far as to say we can be who we are anywhere. God, she doesn't know anything about this world. And what drives me insane is it was like talking to a racist who doesn't know what it is to be black and just so certain that they're right about everything they're saying. I wouldn't let her keep popping off in this conversation. And she was getting mad because I wouldn't let her keep popping off. So it started out there. And of course, she and her girlfriends thought it was so righteous that they tried to hurt this guy's feelings. And I'm like, I really don't fucking care what you did. You were in their environment. And for her to say that we can be who we are anywhere was just ignorant. It was willfully ignorant. We don't have that many places. She said, well, if it was gay owned. Who the fuck? She don't know shit about this world. Most of the clubs that I went to from the time I was 17 years old, and it's probably still going on today, were not gay owned. They would rent out a space for a night or a weekend and keep it exclusive to gay people being there. And she couldn't understand why they have to have their own environments. Well, dummy, because they'd kill them in any other place where they express themselves. And I told her a story of being chased down the street by a bunch of white men in a truck in Walnut Creek, California, who saw me walking down the street holding hands with a white girl. They stopped the car in the middle of the street and jumped out and chased us. And we slipped into a restaurant. Now I'm talking shit, and my woman had to pull me in around that corner into that restaurant to escape whatever the hell these guys wanted to do to us. So that woman is talking out her fucking neck to say we can be who we are anywhere. No, we can't. That's why there are gay establishments. That's why there are black establishments, fool. Where we can be ourselves and we don't have to sugarcoat anything to be around each other. We don't have to educate. We don't have to answer questions. We can be ourselves. For her not to understand that, see, this goes to show you the illness and the sickness that religion has started. I won't say started, that has been going on for centuries. Where, because black people are discriminated against and oppressed, they're just happy to find and see somebody they can attack and oppress even more than they're being oppressed. And this is a terrible problem. This is just an insurmountable problem, because they are more violent and angry. And she even said that in the conversation, that non-black people, she said white people are more open and accepting of us than they are, than we as a culture are. And that is true. And it's because of religion, though. See, they're the ones that are violent about homosexuality and transgenderism. Black people are more violent than white people are. And for the life of me, I don't understand why many black people don't get that. So we traverse that territory. And me just fighting her every step of the way because she was being irrational. She was being ignorant and double standard. Because much of what is going on with transgender people right now happened to black people and gay people in the 1970s and 80s, and maybe some of the 90s. So here comes the bathroom issue. Now, first of all, she told a couple of stories of transgender women who she thought were gay men or cross-dressers. And I tried to tell her that if they were gay men and cross-dressers, they wouldn't have been presenting female in a public space. She wasn't trying to hear nothing. She was just trying to be right, like so many women do. Right when they're wrong. So people like her, bigots and transphobes, were complaining that there was a transgender woman in the bathroom who was standing up to pee. Now, this was probably a habit of that transgender woman because that's how she was taught to pee. I'm sure she didn't think 1 second that somebody would complain that she was facing the toilet instead of sitting on it. See, this is a kind of bullshit that just, there's people looking to see which direction your feet are facing. And this is all coming out of this bullshit law that just got enacted in Florida by none other than this Satan himself. That is against the law for transgender people to use public bathrooms of the gender that they say they are. It's a law. Now, I don't know how they're going to implement it, except they're going to clock transgender women. See, this argument has never, ever been about transgender men. Because cisgender men don't give a fuck that we're in the bathrooms. It's all about transgender women being in the bathroom that may still have their penis. Or locker rooms. Which I must agree that if you do still have your penis, you shouldn't be exposing that in the ladies' locker room, or you're just asking for trouble. Because they don't get it. And this society, Western society, is just more sensitive about that than any other society in the world. Now, there's not very many places in the world where it's okay for men to run around exposing their penis, except for nudist colonies. But that is their fear. Remember, I said fear of transgender people. And I kept questioning her, saying that that was a gay man. She doesn't know what the fuck he was. Or she was. You don't know whether somebody's gay. You don't know whether somebody's transgender. Because she kept calling that woman a man. Which was misgendering her willfully and in a hostile manner to me, a transgender man. They sound so ludicrous. And she kept trying to make exception to the fact that I present as male, I look male, I've changed my name. But see, when I'm in a bathroom, don't nobody know any of that, do they? And what are you looking so closely up underneath the fucking bathroom stall? That means you have to be looking down and up underneath the stall to see which direction somebody's feet are. Women don't have open bathrooms in the United States. So that's what they have to be doing to know. And who died and left you? God. Anyway, I kept clapping back at this relative of mine because she kept trying to, she kept thinking I should just sit there and listen to all her fucking garbage. That sounded like every transphobic person in this country says the same things. It's no different. There's no variation. It's all the same rhetoric and narrative, supporting their fear, their disgust, their hostility, their aversions to transgender people, and thought that I would not back my trans sisters, even though I don't experience that nearly as much as they do, because they're more clockable. Their features are more pronounced. Oh, this was the one that really got my goat. She thinks that they should hide until they're more presentable to people like her. They should hide from society. Transgender women presenting as female in female clothes should go to the men's room. And I try to tell her that cisgender men will drag those women out of the bathroom and kick their ass. And it has happened time and time again in this country. If they get caught in the men's room. If I go into the women's room, they won't kick my ass, but they will call the police. They've done it before. They haven't called the police on me because I got out of there. This one, I was at Denny's. And I was, at the time, I only had a few months into my transition. And I was scared to death of going to the men's room. So I continued to go to the women's room. Now, I didn't have a beard, but, you know, I look like a butch lesbian or whatever. I look like a male, even without a beard. And she said, excuse me, aren't you in the wrong bathroom? And I just looked at her, went in and did my business, and got the hell out of there before she could call the police. But it's just, going to the bathroom is a human right, and we shouldn't be have our lives be put in jeopardy for these assholes' comfort zone. This whole thing is being stirred up by the bullshit in Florida, and now they think they can pop off and mouth off about this issue without knowing one bit of what they're talking about. Not one. She kept saying that's a gay man or cross-dresser. A man dressing up as a female. Now, what she didn't know and refused to listen to, that I already know, which is cross-dressers and gay men only dress that way in a bar or some kind of event like Pride or somewhere where we're safe in that environment. They don't present that way 24/7. So if it is what looks to them to be a man dressing like woman in public every day, that's a transgender woman. That is not a man. Any more than I'm a woman. See, your arguments kept folding in on each other because she was talking about me in the reverse. And thinking it was okay to do that in my face. Oh, no. I don't need nobody like that in my life. I don't care if they're a family. If they think like that, they can stay the hell out of my life. Don't trust her. Don't trust her judgment. Don't trust her thinking. She refused to be corrected about anything. She kept, she played this game that I remember this guy that I was dating who was, oh my God, he was a gay man. I didn't know at the time. But anyway, he did this to me all the time, and I got rid of him because of it. Which was, if I said you're being disrespectful, they turn around and say, well, you're being disrespectful. If I said that they were being rude, no, you're being rude. If I said that they were arguing, they say, no, you're arguing. I mean, this is a circular kind of thing that goes on with human beings that don't want to take accountability for what comes out their mouth. I was just being a mirror and smacking her in the nose every time she was transphobic with me, a transgender person. I don't know how she thought that I was outside of that circle when I am. I'm not. I also told her I have cisgender children, both male and female, and transgender children, both male and female. So I had to explain to her what cisgender meant versus transgender. And she says, well, why don't you just say naturally born males or naturally born females? You know, lady, cousin, I invite you to fucking do some research. That's all I got to say. Is there's reasons why we give these things the labels that we give them. I'm naturally born male here. Does that mean I'm not because the doctor smacked my ass and said, it's a girl? You can't have it both ways. You either think that we were born this way or you think it was some fucking choice we woke up and made one day that we would be something that people hate and have such an aversion to and such disdain for and hostility. Nobody wakes up and decides to be LGBTQ plus. Now, I would say maybe some people decided and try it out and then decide it's not for them. But those of us who knew that's who we were all along, it's a matter of embracing it, not choosing it. It chooses us because that's who we are. And it's not up to you to make a snap decision just looking at somebody to what their experiences are in this community. It is not your right. It is not your privilege. It is not in any way, shape, or form correct thing to do when you don't know nothing about this world. And it was so obvious as the conversation went on that she kept trying to get her point across. Her crazy ass, transphobic, bigoted conversation about transgender women onto me. Not on my watch. Nah. I'm not doing that. I don't roll like that. That is just as bad as sitting there listening to a white person talk about niggas with all their rationalizations and explanations about why they think we're slower, not as intelligent as them, we're not equal to them, we're not human to them. Would you really sit there and listen to that? Say they were a family member by marriage. How long would you sit there and listen to that before you try to shut them the fuck up? How long? How long? Probably not 1 second. So what the hell you think I was going to sit there and listen to your garbage for more than a second before I interrupted you? No, sweetheart, you weren't going to throw up that transphobic bullshit onto me and think I was going to sit there and let it get all over me and not fight back. You got the wrong motherfucker for that. You got the wrong man for that. And I know you talking about me like I'm a female to your relatives and your friends. You can't have the mindset that you spoke to me last night or this early this morning and not be doing that in the background. It's obvious that you're probably using my dead name and misgendering me to your people. That's why I don't want you anywhere near me. I'm sorry. Not all, what's the saying? Not all skin folk are kinfolk. Or no, not all kinfolk are skin folk. I feel far safer around my trans black community and cis black community who is accepting of who I am than anybody like you. And I don't have to tolerate that. I don't have to put up with it. I don't have to accept it. No way. You got the wrong one for that. It's like you were coming for me every 5 minutes, thinking that you weren't talking about me. You talk about transgender women, you're talking about transgender men too. They're just not such a threat to you because of penis. And you need to go to therapy if you've got problem with male penis and you're straight. You hear me? You got some trauma going on somewhere. If watching a man piss bothers you. Really? You weren't even watching him. You just saw the feet underneath the bathroom stall. I said, if they weren't doing anything lewd to you, shut the fuck up. Going to the bathroom is lewd. Standing to pee is lewd. Really? Do you have any sons? No, maybe you don't have. Okay, she does not have children. But nonetheless, if you got an aversion to that, something's wrong with you, not them. Now, I admit they probably, in order to stay out of trouble with bitches like you, they needed to sit down and pee. Just to avoid this kind of bullshit coming out y'all's mouth. But to hide until they can afford the surgery to have their penis removed, you have got to be out your mind. It took me 5 years after I realized I needed to get top surgery to actually get the money for it. I had to pay out of pocket because a fucking VA won't pay for gender affirming surgeries for trans veterans. And now they're trying to take away our access to HRT, which is all they'll fucking pay for right now. That's all they'll do for us, is to provide HRT and some post-op care. And even then, they fight us tooth and nail to give it to us. We have to fight for it. And then she tried to say we're a protected class. Protected from what? People like you? No, we're not. Anytime y'all feel like popping the fuck off about this kind of crap, you do it. And there's nothing protecting us from it except hanging up on your ass. Like I did. Oh, I said, you know what? I need to get out of this conversation. Or I said, can I go now? Or something like that. And she says, yes. I said, good night. And then when I got home, I said, oh, you got another thing coming, sister. If I just because you're a relative doesn't mean I won't dismiss you. And you are dismissed. Because I'm not listening to that kind of garbage ever again from you or anybody else. Let somebody else try it. Oh, I can't believe you're this angry. Really, lady? If you heard somebody call you nigga 50 times in a conversation, would you be angry? Because that's basically what you did. You said everything but the word tranny. You might as well have said that. Because that's what you were behaving like. And I just can't believe the gall of people, because the GOP is stirring up this trouble all over again about trans people in the bathroom. They feel so self-righteous about it. You know, then she come talking about the Bible. If you're born a man, you're a man. If you're born a female, you're a female. Really? So does that sound like she's accepting of me? Hell no. Nope, that's what she's saying to her friends and her family. So-and-so is really a woman. That's how she was born. That's what I believe. Well, fuck what you believe. Because you believe it doesn't mean it's right. Judge not lest ye be judged. Stop being a judgmental jerk. That's what's wrong with the world. Live and let live. And I don't know if that's in the Bible, but it might as well be. They're not bothering you, fuck off. No, seriously, if they're not bothering you directly, on purpose, keep your mouth shut and keep it moving and mind your own business. How about that? Now, I came into this video promising I'm working on my anger, and I don't want to, I don't know if I yelled at all in this one, or I know I promised myself I wouldn't yell throughout the whole thing, even though that's what I feel like doing. Because I just can't believe they wanted me to accept this nonsense coming out of their mouth and let them keep talking. I probably should have hung up long before I did, thinking that I would say something to get this woman to understand how wrong she was. They're not interested in being corrected. This has been a very strange week, but because something similar happened in a group that I run, teaching trans men about manhood. And a young man in there popped off, and I'd seen that person popping off before, and I was just waiting for them to do it in that group. And I smacked his ass down really good. But you know what is going on with people? These are dangerous times. They're scary times for us, far more scary than her perhaps seeing a penis through the crack of the door that she was peeping through. Who's the pervert? It's a bathroom. People are relieving themselves. Transgender people are trying to be safe, and there really is no place to be that right now, especially if you live in Florida. And don't think, sister, it won't blow through to California, because there's just as many bigots all over this country and people full of transphobia all over this country. And they're all looking very carefully at whether they can pull this shit off in Florida, and then it'll blow across the rest of the nation, just like all the goddamn racist crap that has been started by the GOP. I mean, don't you see any correlations here? Make me eyes roll back in the back of my head and get stuck there from all the crazy bullshit that's coming out of human beings right now. And then not only are the other states looking at what's going to happen, or whether they can pull this shit off in Florida and blows across to other states. If that is successful, it'll blow across the world. And I bet you it's already doing that. I know for certain there are countries in Africa that is happening too. It's even worse than that. Way worse than that. Protected class, my ass. I told her there was over 650 anti-trans legislation bills in the country right now. Went in one ear and out the other. And she kept saying, oh no, this is from your past, because I was making direct references to my past thinking that I was a lesbian, and today. And she kept trying to say, no, that was the past. No, lady. It's the present. And if what they were doing wasn't successful, you think you'd have spouted off the way you did to me this morning? Nah. They're giving you full-blown right to spread your bigotry and your transphobia to everybody you know. Well, this is one person you ain't spreading that to. I won't allow it. Disrespectful. You deserve me to cuss you clean the fuck out. That's what you deserved. Did I call you a bigot? Yeah, because you are. Did I call you transphobic? Yeah, because you are. And you were being that way to me and thinking I was going to tolerate it. For what? Why would I do that? Do you tolerate racism in your face? I've got two things coming at me. Transphobia and racism. I don't tolerate either one of them. Why should I? Anyway, I'm real upset because this person, I had no idea that much venom and vitriol was going on inside of them while they were pretending to love me as a family member that they have never known all of their life, that I have never known all of my life. She found me on social media. She's related to my father's side of the family. And all I can say is, this was sad for me, but it made me more mad because you were out of pocket, out of line, and you expected to correct me when you don't know anything about this life? Have you ever been with white people who claim to know more about racism than you do? You know how irritating that is? Do you know how awkward it is? Have you ever been in that situation? You just want to strangle them because they can't possibly know more about what's going on in our world than we do. By the same token, you can't possibly know what is going on in the LGBT community than I do. You needed to shut up and listen. Not me. I didn't need to listen to your garbage. I wasn't spooting. I was spooting the same hostility you were giving me back at you. But if you wanted to learn, I'd have educated you. But you weren't trying to learn. You were trying to be right. When you're dead wrong. Lord have mercy if this world, this country isn't getting more screwed up by the day just because of what one state is doing in the US of A. It's open season on us as trans people, and it's open season on us as black people. And of all people, black folks should understand oppression and discrimination and the phobias and the bigotry and not practice that on anybody else, because we know how that feels. If you got that much fucking anger that you need to oppress somebody, you happy to find somebody you can oppress, all I can say is shame on you. Shame on you for being that willfully ignorant. And I can't stand ignorance. And I hate willful ignorance. That means you're going to be ignorantly right when you're wrong. Anyway, so this is what happened this morning. And I was so angry. And then when I got home, you know that I wear glasses, and the piece that goes up against your nose, one of them fell off for the second time since I've owned these pair. And I can't get an appointment with the VA until August. Or I also explained to her that, she kept talking about the past. She didn't know. She doesn't know what we're dealing with. I'm fighting with a clinic, a VA clinic, who had the nerve to say out loud, without suffering any repercussions thus far, that they would not accept me at their clinic because I'm trans. See, she don't know what the fuck we're going through from day to day, nor did she care. She just wanted to be right about being transphobic and a bigot. And then mad that I called her out. There's one thing I can't stand is a woman, or a man for that matter, it doesn't really matter, who refuses to be called out on their bullshit. Oh, I always so dismissed another person that I just met within the last couple of weeks that was like that. Every time I turned around, there was some craziness coming out of this person. And I finally said, you know what, I don't have, maybe God is testing me to test my resolve that I'm not tolerating people's bullshit anymore. I'm too old and I'm too tired of dealing with this crap all of my life. All of my adulthood anyway. I really didn't know what that was in childhood. People's nonsense. We didn't think in those terms when we were young. But I'm here to say that, I'm out to make a difference in the world. I am not out to be openly hostile towards someone who isn't being openly hostile to me. If you're openly that way to me and you think you're absolved to be that way, I'm going to smack you upside the head until Sunday. Every which way till Sunday. Every which way. I am. You don't get to do that to me. You can do that to your people, but you're not doing that to me. Fucking dysfunctional. And I've had people, I was in love with somebody who was transphobic. And then it switched from that to being a man hater. Just wanted to use me as an ATM. People are fucked up, folks. And they think they're right to be that way. Or they don't want to be accountable for being the ways that they are being, that are foul, that are against their Bible, that are against the laws of humanity. Going to the bathroom is it's a human right. And your bigotry doesn't supersede human rights. Your transphobia doesn't either. And if you insist on being that way around me, get away from me, stay away from me. It just, oh my God, it felt like I was thrown up on, and then thrown up on, and then thrown up on. And they wanted me to like it. And they wanted me to let them keep doing it. She wanted me to. What kind of insanity is that? Is there a word for that? Anyway, oh Lord. I guess I just wanted to get all this off my chest. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't sleep tonight. Because I'm just real upset that a relative thought that I was gonna just stay there. It makes no sense for me to stand in that line of fire and keep getting shot at while she's telling me I'm not shooting at you. The fuck out of here. Anyway, tomorrow is the 4th of July. So you people that celebrate it, have fun. I no longer celebrate that holiday. I celebrate Juneteenth because, we weren't even thought about when the 4th of July got created. We were still slaves. So that holiday is not for us, even though many people celebrate it anyway for being American. I'm really not the type to, well, I stand on my name, and I stand on my principles and my morals and my values. And I'm not celebrating stuff that doesn't celebrate us anymore. So with that, I will bid you adieu and have a blessed rest of your week. Blessed rest of your week. And the pollinator is out.